Finally, this box set gives me something that's worth being deemed a classic. Too Late for Tears is a hidden gem from 1949 that stars Elizabeth Scott, a popular name in the noir genre. In the 22 films that she was in, nearly all of them gave her the leading role, an unprecedented feat during a time when men unfairly dominated the screen. This is an excellent story featuring elements of crime and noir. It's a kind of movie that, if it was made today, would probably be made by Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese. It's about Elizabeth Scott's character Jane Palmer and her husband Alan, who are leaving a Hollywood party when, just as they're driving away, a suitcase is thrown in the back of their car. They find out that it contains a huge pile of money, and another car chases them with no success. At home, Jane wants to keep the money while Alan thinks giving it to the police would be the right thing to do. Another character named Danny shows up at the apartment, questioning Jane about the money and a new fur coat that she's purchased. It's revealed that he was the one who actually was supposed to get the money, with the messenger mistaking their car for his own. The money is eventually put in a Union Station locker for the police to pick up, but Jane has other plans. She starts to hook up with Danny, planning a getaway with the cash. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Breach shows up, also investigating the crime, especially after Jane's husband goes missing, causing the sister-in-law, Kathy, to be nervous. To reveal more of the plot would be to spoil an excellent movie. There's a lot of storylines intercrossing one another, but it never gets to be too much. Eventually, there's this wonderful scene between Kathy and Lieutenant Breach. At this point, they've only been established as secondary characters, and usually this would seem kind of unnecessary to expand on, but this film knows that their side characters are just as important and interesting as their main ones, and I love movies that can do that. The main characters are also fleshed out, especially Jane, who is spectacularly portrayed by Elizabeth Scott. She can play the typical 1940s archetype for the female wife, while hiding true intentions, which slowly are revealed as the film goes along. You feel her dominance while also feeling her loss of control in the situation, trying to play innocent and psychotic all at once. It's a very subtle transition, and it's done in a way where you don't see it coming, but when you arrive at the end of the story, it seems like a gradual progression, because it gives the right amount of time to evolve the character. Danny is also an interesting character. You can see him being a determined gangster-like person, but slowly you realize he's vulnerable, a drunk, not much self-control, a little dumb, and definitely in over his head. As everything progresses, the roles of Danny and Jane are reversed, putting into question the realities of knowing who to trust. The story itself is actually based on something that was written for the Saturday Evening Post by Roy Huggins, who also wrote the screenplay. It was directed by Byron Haskin, who later went on to do Disney's Treasure Island, so that's a pretty big jump. From a small budget flick like this to a Walt Disney picture, yeah, that's a dream come true. The story is about the impact greed can have on a person, as evidenced in the opening scene with Jane's distaste of going to a high society party.
This diamond-studded wife, looking down her nose at me like a big ugly house up there looks down on Hollywood.
It's about how it can overtake a person. Jane wants to use the money to improve her well-being, even if the cash was stolen illegally and by who knows what conditions. She goes far past the barriers of human morality, which leads to a stunning confrontation. I really give this film a solid recommendation, and I don't dare spoil a single detail. I push you to give this movie a watch. Despite being low budget and an older movie, it's actually paced really well and has a lot of great shots, especially my favorite shot that I can't even show you because it would give away the ending. It reminded me a lot of the movie called Detour that I saw in the film class, and actually this movie is on the same disc as Detour, so there you go, two great public domain films for one. But I'll be reviewing that movie later. The only thing I will say is that this transfer is a little weird. The movie is supposedly an hour and 40 minutes long, but the copy I have is 10 minutes shorter.
It's the date, Alan.
There's a couple weird edits that, based on the music cues, are easily noticeable cuts, but I can't decide if this was recorded from some old TV broadcast or if someone actually cut 10 minutes out of the film. In any case, there's a Blu-ray on Amazon that I may buy later, and apparently it's restored as a restoration screening took place in 2014. If that's true or not, I'll take my chances later. For now, this DVD is average for a movie that's spectacular. It's thought-provoking, has great acting, a suspenseful ending, and a must-watch for fans of film noir.